and race it. And I don't know. See, I've heard, like, I've been thinking about it now for so long because I didn't get to do it last year, and so it's almost like just more excitement going into it, more of a build-up.
The same kind of momentum that you had going into last year's race?
Additional momentum.
She's doing much better than last year, I'll tell you that.
So what have you done since the Worlds? Have you done any races since then?
No, I haven't. I was actually supposed to run the Tuss 10K that weekend. I came down with a little, like, just a minor niggle. So decided to pull out of it just to make sure it didn't hurt anything, and yeah, it ended up. So that was supposed to be like my one race. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do it. However, we were able to do some tough workouts instead. So yeah, I haven't raced since then, but I'm still feeling confident.
So I got here a little late. How much training do you guys do together?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Is she starting to push you now?
She does in the long runs a bit more than I. In the past, I kind of would do my long runs a little easier, but Amy likes to do them pretty hard, so I'm pretty much hanging on there on the back. So yeah.
Do you think you guys will work together on Sunday at all?
I think so. Yeah.
We're pretty much doing our tempo. My tempo runs have been better than they ever have before because Amy's there to push me, and so it's been going well. Yeah.
Amy, can you talk a little bit about your transition to Providence and how that's been going, and new coaching and all that?
It's been going really well. Last year, just doing the marathon build-up ended up being really great because I kind of I knew going into it what Ray's training was going to be like, and then coming to Providence, I mentally prepared myself to give myself a year I was like, you know what, it's going to be a transitional year, expect some setbacks and stuff, but Ray, and I think maybe it's just like the college coaching, he knows how to adjust to everything, so any setback was, instead of it being a year, it was like a couple days, and he'd readjust and figure it out, and I was able to actually like move forward on the track this year, which was really fun, as opposed to like I was prepared to not, and then my training for marathon has gone better than it ever has before, and I'm feeling really good, so yeah, it's been a good year. Fairly easy transition.
What are your personal expectations for Sunday?
Because New York is such a difficult course, it can be so tactical, I wouldn't give myself a particular time. However, I just want to like be in the race as long as possible and come home strong.
Kim, after your VA half performance, very fast race, how have you recovered? Do you feel good going into the Sunday?
Yeah, I took the next week a little easier. I got in big trouble by my coach after that race. He wanted me to go a lot easier, but I kind of hadn't raced in a long time, so I got a little excited. So he was pretty angry at me, but so he gave me a week pretty easy to recover. He's pretty conservative, so he made sure I recovered well, and then the last couple of weeks have gone really well. So
I think that's an indicator race.
Yeah, I felt really good on a really tough course, and I felt pretty strong on those going up the hills. So I was actually didn't really know what to expect going in because I hadn't raced in a long time. But yeah, it felt really easy to run 69 minutes. I feel like if I pushed it the last few miles, I could have probably run a minute faster. And on that course, it's pretty good. So it was a good indication of where I'm at.
I thought I'd have to take a lot of steps to get to the point where she was in tempo, but they just kind of fit.
I mean, training's gone really well, but I mean, probably my worst block of training was before I ran my first marathon, and that's the fastest one I've run. It's hard to know with a marathon. Sometimes I have really good build-ups and they've gone pretty average. So yeah, hopefully it's going to click this time. But yeah, I feel like I definitely have not run as well at the marathon for sure as I want to. But yeah.
What do you think you need to figure out?
I don't know.
I mean, it's really fun.
It does doesn't. Yeah. Amy tells me, you know, like the workouts I do, it should indicate, you know,
every step of the way.
Go a lot faster by what she's seen with her other training times.
So just having her there on a daily basis on the days when
you never know.
You said Amy's looked better than last year in her preparation.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Well, she really couldn't really keep up with me at all for pretty much anything last year. And this year, she's pretty much for most of the questions, being with me.
It was pretty tough last year.
It's a lot different.
It was a really weird feeling. I never experienced anything like that before, where you build up for something and then you don't.
I think a little bit of both.
And it's something like completely understandable.
Yeah, kind of getting used to our training and our ways.
It was just like this feeling afterwards. And so that was
going to go with whatever the race is. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was like a slow race.
It was really
back to the track.
And then the year after, it was ridiculously fast. So, you just,
really want to get back to the marathon.
If they're going out at 2:16 pace, I'm not going to do that. But within reason, yeah.
2011, you had to stop at one last bridge.
Yeah.
And then people thought you dropped out, and then all of a sudden you came across the finish line at 5th place.
I don't know.
I was fourth.
You're just so exhausted. You kind of just want to
picking people up.
Right.
I came across him with, but the girl that got fourth has been disqualified from the results. So I just like to make that point because she stole that money. She's not staying in place. So
hopefully I'll just be
after the marathon. You know, you haven't had the success in the marathon that you have in the half. You change things up, or you just
thank you.
think it's just a matter of getting your body used to running that far? Or?
Yeah, I mean, some people aren't built to run the marathon as much as I think probably the half marathon is my favourite distance and seem to be most successful at that. So hopefully that one day I can transition that to the marathon. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I do anything wrong in training. I just, when I get to 20 miles, I'm just pretty tired. So yeah.
Do you think it's more mental than physical?
I don't know. Yeah.
There's so many excellent runners coming up the East Coast now, entering New York and now Boston with parents. Do you see your group expanding?
Ray's a college coach, my coach. That's his job, that's how he makes his money. He doesn't have that much interest in coaching anyone he hasn't coached in college, but unless I say so. So yeah.
She had to put in a good word.
Yeah. No one really at the moment.
Still four of you?
Yeah.
Katie,
another girl. Yeah.
Amy, how did you view your track season?
It was up and down. It wasn't completely what I was hoping for. My big goals for the season were to break 15 minutes in the 5K and then make the world team in the 10K and be competitive there. So it was, bittersweet. I ran a PR in the 5K, which you can never complain about, but not quite there. And then in the 10K, made it in a really weird way, not the way I wanted to, but got there, which is always exciting, and then didn't run well there. So it was up and down. However, it was really cool because seeing race training, it was one of those things I always, like the breaking the 15-minute mark, it was like, it just had to be the right day. It's like someday maybe it'll happen, but seeing his training, I'm like, he's going to get me there every single year if I want to do it. So it's something more that I know I can get back to there. So I have confidence that I can always get to that point again. Up and down, I'd say. How.
Is it difficult to do? You've shown success in the marathon. You're still trying to break 15 to 5K. Is that easy to train for both? Hard or?
I think I am a marathon runner. I really, I think that's going to be my best event. I love it. I just really like the distance. The training comes so much easier to me than track training. Usually usually when I get fit for a marathon, I actually, I feel like that training, if I just tweaked it a little, that's almost my best track training too. So I don't think it's hard. I think after this I'll actually be in a better position to like tweak it and maybe get down there again. However, I do want to start focusing more on the marathon. Next year is going to be a big year for that for me. I want to get a few more under my belt, become more competitive at the distance, so it'll be a little while before I get on the track again, I think.
Is the marathon the distance you're planning to do the trials for?
Absolutely, yes.
No more 4Ks, right?
Yeah, no more. Going back for it.
Can you talk a little bit about the main differences in your training over the past year as compared to when you were now? Sort of what the fundamental differences are?
Fundamentally, it's more, so one thing Ray does is it's more on, you get more recovery in between runs. The runs, the workouts and the tempos, the interval workouts, the threshold stuff, it's all more intense and usually longer than what I had done in the past in Mammoth or in San Diego. They're definitely harder. Like I looked at them on paper when I first got there and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? Like this is so hard. But then he gives you usually like 3 days between workouts as opposed to in Mammoth it was less time. So you just kind of like, it just happens. I don't know, you just are able to run so much harder on those workout days because of more rest in between. But the mileage, I would say my mileage is about the same. I probably have more weeks over 100 here, but the same number at like 110, 115 range. But yeah, I don't know. It's the long runs are a little bit different here just because they're not at altitude. But I don't know. Both places I felt like I ran as hard as I could. Just like slight differences, but my tempo, like the basic workouts going into this marathon, the ones that I really feel like you can look at and see where you are for the race, are going better than they were in the past. So hopefully this will be a good one.
Talk about the difference between, you've been down at sea level now for over a year.
Yeah.
How's that? Like, you notice, in the training being different, and you think that was going to be a problem?
It did. I actually, during track season, it was kind of funny because my first race back at Stanford didn't go well, and I was like starting to get nervous. I was talking to Kim about it, about whether I needed the altitude now because I had done it for so long, and she was like, you know what, just give it. I was like talking about maybe getting an altitude tent or something, and she's like, you know what, just give it some time. And I talked to Ray about it, and it was just like, just giving it a little bit more time, and then the times came down immediately. Like, so I don't think, I was a little bit nervous about it, but I don't think it's necessary for me now. A month out of the marathons in the past I would do, usually it was like, you can look at the workouts and like a month out of a marathon you'd have a good tempo and a good interval session, and it's still a month out of the marathon, even though I haven't been at altitude and I'm coming down to, or not coming down to sea level, it's still, you have a good tempo and a good long run and a good interval session. So it's a different way to get to the same place, kind of.
You guys talked about ever going back to altitude? Moving your group or first?
We've talked about maybe like an altitude stint. I don't think we'll ever move our base from Providence, but
yeah, maybe we're probably both going to do a spring marathon, so probably different ones, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we haven't figured it out yet, but so we'll both be training for a marathon at least, and we'll might go somewhere for a month or 2 or 6 weeks or something.
So you guys usually go more February anyhow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like the cold, so going to altitude in February just doesn't sound that much fun to me. I'd rather go to Arizona where it's warm. And I go home to New Zealand usually for a month or something. But Yeah, we haven't made any plans. So.